Hi everyone, it's Sandy from Stamped Impression, and welcome to the Joy of Monochromatic card class. In this class, we're going to explore how to use monochromatic designs on our cards. How do we choose the color? How do we implement it so it's not boring but interesting? All those things. Anyways, I'm very excited about it because I love to work with monochromatic card designs. I just want to touch a few things on a few topics first. Not really related, but I just want you to know about them. Over here on my table, I have the new glass mat. This is an item that if you sign up to be a demonstrator during a celebration, which ends at the end of this month, then you can get this item for free, plus a little silicone mat and a cleaning cloth. It's a $60 value, and it's for free. I love working with it. It's clean because a cloth just wipes it up real fast. You don't have to worry about getting ink and everything else all over your workspace and then transferring it to your cards where you don't want it. It's nice and stable. It was packed with these 4 corners, and I've left them on because when I move around, it's kind of nice to know that I can get underneath and lift it. The only thing this glass mat is not good for is videos. If you could see, and I don't see it by looking at my glass, but if I look at the camera, I can see here and here the reflections of my umbrella lights. So that doesn't work so well for video, so I am going to remove it, and you will just have me on regular tabletop. Okay, so here we are, and we're ready to get started. In doing these monochromatic designs, I wanted to focus on just 1 or 2 products so that if you're interested in making exactly the same cards as I make in class, then it's not as big a purchase for you. So we're using the inked and tiled stamp set, which I just love. It's floral, but has a few flowers, but they're not fussy, overly feminine flowers. They're kind of nice for fall and summer and spring, anytime. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that. It comes with a variety of sentiments, and it also has this wood grain, which makes a nice background. You can get it in a bundle with these 2 punches, and these punches kind of look like quilted shapes to me, and I used to be a quilter, so I guess that kind of appealed to me. And this is a class, so I'm going to teach you how to make a card, but I'm not going to be giving you all the measurements and everything. That comes if you actually purchase a class. This is free. You can watch this video over and over and over again. You're welcome to it. Welcome to share it to your friends. Let everyone know that it's available. However, if you purchase the class, then you will receive a packet of cardstock and some papers so that you can actually make the cards yourself. I just realized I've been waving my hands talking with nothing on the paper. Sorry about that. You can get the card kits to make 2 of each of the 3 designs that we're going to make today, and it'll have a PDF with details of measurements and everything that goes to, instructions on how to make the cards. So video, you can watch as much as you want, but the kit and the PDF, that's for charge. And all that is explained below this, will be explained on a post below this video, but I want to get the video up and running because I'm running late. So let's look at the first card. This is definitely monochromatic. It's all shades of yellow. My ink is a different color so that you could see it. I'm not really I'm not fond of using same color ink for your text. I like the text to pop out a little bit, so I always go a slightly different color. In this card class, we're using Lost Lagoon, which is a bluey green, and Calypso Coral, which is a kind of orangey color. You're free to use other colors as well. So this is the card we're making, and I'm going to show you how I do it. So in your card kit, you will have received a piece of cardstock like this that's scored, a piece of cardstock like this, and a piece of cardstock like this. What you need to do from the designer series paper or the pattern papers that I give you is pick the ones you want to work with on your card. So this piece I'm going to put in here, and this skinny piece I'm going to put over here. It's going to be equidistant from the top and the bottom and the left, and a bigger distance here, but that's okay because it just gives it just eases the design. It doesn't have to come right up to the end. In this piece of cardstock, I'm going to cut a piece of designer series paper, a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to have this piece in the back, and you'll see when you look at your card, the finished card, it kind of separates the designs a little bit, gives your eye a place to rest. And that's the purpose of that. The only thing I'll caution you, you can use any colors you want. I did yellow on this design. I just want you to be aware that when you cut your paper, you've got to watch the whether it's up and down or horizontal. This paper, I could have cut this way, but then all my flowers would have been going sideways. If I wanted that, it's fine. But if you don't, then it's a problem. This paper can go in any direction. On my original card, I use this paper, which goes up and down. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. A couple things we're going to do. Then I am going to use, I took out this paper and then I lost it, so I'm taking out this paper now. And I'm going to type, hello friend. I'm going to type. I'm not going to type. I'm not at my computer. I'm at my craft table. All right. So, and then after I make this card, we're going to talk about a few things about it. So, hello friend. And that's all we need to do. Pretty simple. I'm going to clean off my stamp right away so that I don't get ink on everything, because I can be a little bit sloppy. All right, so after I've stamped that, and I'm not going to punch the paper for you because I want you to choose what paper you want to work on, and plus the punch is part of the featured product on this class. So you can just cut it in a square, you can punch it out in a circle, you can do what you want. So here we go. See how that's kind of centered there? Maybe I'll put it a little bit more towards the bottom. Yeah, I like that better. So we have that. And I also want to take two pieces of cardstock, and I just punched out that same shape from the yellow cardstock. I need to pick this up and hold it a little closer to my eyes. Sorry guys, sometimes the eyes have to come before the video. So that's just a little thicker. And then I can take my sentiment and put it on so that the corners are kind of in the middle of the corners of the paper cardstock underneath. See how that looks? I think it's pretty cool. All right. Now I'm going to glue this cardstock to our neutral cardstock. Whoops. What did I just do there? You know, I should be working on silicone mat, but it's over on the other table, so. And I'm going to put this one on next. And this will go on top later. This piece of designer series paper, I'd like to stamp some of those flowers on it. You don't have to, but I think it's kind of fun. I love a little stamping. I love stamping on everything. So, oh, that's what I was looking for. Calypso coral. So just a little in the corner. That's good enough. And then I'm going to, isn't that a beautiful color? I think I said in one of the write-ups that if I had my way, every monochromatic card would be blue, green, or greeny blue. But I'm afraid if I did that, I would discourage some people from trying some monochromatic stuff. But definitely blue and green are my favorite, especially blue. Okay, so remember this is putting it sort of equidistant from the side and the top and the bottom. The nice thing, because it's monochromatic, if you're a little off, it's not even noticeable. Shh. All right, so then we want this here, and I'd like this kind of centered. So here is what I do. I push this over, and I have glue over here. So just from the top versus, so it doesn't go past the margins of that cardstock. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm going to put adhesive on the back here. And even if you're using liquid glue or any other kind of glue, that's where you would put it, just along the left. So now you kind of place it so it's somewhat centered from right to left and press it down. By putting glue over here only on the top layer and only here on the bottom layer, no glue can be seen from the inside. Isn't that great? I hate when glue shows from the inside. And the only other thing I was missing is I like a little bit of Stampin' Dimensionals, so I would put maybe 3 on it, just to make sure it really stays popped. If you use too few, you end up with saggy sentiments or saggy pieces. So, I don't know, I'm going to put it here this time. A little more in the center. And there's a card. Easy peasy. We're going to add some. Now this was not included in the card class unless you made a purchase of $50 or more, but I'm going to add a few of these jewels. They're iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. Aren't they pretty? They have a pink sheen to them, but they also have yellow, and they have bits of purple. They're really quite interesting, but when you put them on your card, they really just catch the color so nicely. I love working with those. I think they're just so worth it. So this monochromatic card, all one color. This one's all one color. Yeah, that's a little bit lighter, but it's still yellow. This bit of vanilla or white around the edge, it just helps separate the color a little bit, but it's not really adding a lot of color. But what we have here is depth and texture, and you need that on monochromatic, otherwise it's totally flat. And we don't want a totally flat card, do we? So here's one I posted. I think I showed it on my blog. I love this card, but hey, it's blue. But there's texture. There's texture here. I don't know if you can tell, but I ran it through with an embossing folder, and then I brayered, so ink was just applied to the top, the part of the cardstock that popped up, and we have texture in the ribbon, and we even have texture in the paper because it looks like cloth, doesn't it? And here we have the lines and the flowers add a kind of texture as well, and you need a variety. If you did it all the same, it would be boring. So that's really important to know. You can do all one shade as long as you have some texture and depth. And that's part of why I popped this up on a couple of 3 Stampin' Dimensionals, was to raise it a little bit. And just another point, these jewels, a little sparkle and shine, that's another texture. So it makes the card interesting. And that was card number 1. By the way, here was another one I was going to use, and I added some ribbon. But at the end I had all my cards done in these colors, and I knew people would complain. So I put that aside. All right, and that is card number 1. Card number 2, it does the same thing. It's monochromatic, but we work, whereas this first card was more even in shading, this card goes from very light to very dark of colors in the same color family. So they're all kind of orangey, but this one's quite pale. This one's in the middle, maybe even considered dark, and then you have this outline here that's even darker. So we're going to work with that. So here is the card, and we're also going to add some leaves on the inside. So I've done some of the stamping before, but just to make this go a little faster, because I think it gets boring when you watch 3 cards all at one time, and I don't need that, but I do need the leaves. And what I'm going to do here, and this is another way to add shading, is you ink once and stamp twice. So ink once, stamp, stamp, so that you get some distance in the flowers and the leaves. You think your eye tells you that this leaf is closer to you than this leaf is, right? And I believe that's all the stamping I'm doing. I've done the other stamping a little ahead of time to keep this video moving. So what I've done here, and this I did die cut for you, is a smaller circle where you could type your sentiment. You can type. Here I am typing again. We're not typing, we're stamping. So here you could stamp your sentiment and then glue it in the middle of the bigger circle. Now you see these punched out, dots. That just adds a little texture, a little depth, right? Just like we did before. I did this one differently. I had actually I had die cut the bigger circle, and then I had put the smaller circle inside and die cut that. But then we had these 3 layers of cardstock, and I thought, oh, you're all going to kill me for that, wondering how it all goes. So just thought I'd let you know that I tried to keep it easy. Oh, excuse me, I am suffering from this head cold with a cough that won't go away, thanks to my absolutely wonderful grandson. But he is just, I love him so much, so I have forgiven him for this cough. But it's really been enough. I wish it would go away. So I'm just taking some pieces of designer series paper. They're 1/8 of an inch, I did that a little crooked, 1/8 of an inch narrower and shorter than the cardstock, so it has a skinnier border. So these borders start out, they're 1/8 of an inch, so the top piece is 1/4 of an inch smaller than the layer below, right? 1/8 and 1/8 equals 1/4. Yeah, I know, we have to keep practicing our arithmetic from grade school. So, and we can't complain about it, because then what do we tell our kids? Okay, and this goes on easy peasy as well. So I also use this Stamp and Seal Plus. It's my favorite. It goes on so easily. It's really strong. And part of what I like is when you're working with cardstock, you could kind of place it down and still move it around a bit to where you really want it, and then you can press it down and make it somewhat permanent. So we have on this card a light color for the base, a dark color, and then a light color. Then all I'm going to do is add these layers, and I'm kind of aiming at first to see how I want them to look. And I'm purposely doing it a little differently than that card, than my sample here, so that you can see that you don't always have to do things exactly the same way. Although, I have to tell you, I'm usually most comfortable doing it the same way. And here's that. And I'm going to take this. The dies I use for this are called Stylish Shapes. They're a general kind of die. They go with so many stamp sets. I love them. We have circles, and we have, I guess I could put those back now. Of course, you need a die cutting machine. Squares and banners. Really, really a lot of fun to work with them and layer them. And on my card, I actually made them flat, but you can easily pop them up as well. So we'll do that. We'll add a couple of those gems, which I just threw away. And oh, here they are. Oops. I'm going to use small ones again. I really prefer small gems to large ones. I'm going to put 2 on the thank you. And this time I'm going to put 2 on the background. Oop. And here we go. So it's the same and different. The thing that's really important is that it's all the same shade. So if you're looking to make a card and want some ease with that, then you can stick to one color, just going from light to dark of it. One of the things I want to also mention is I find these monochromatic cards extremely comfortable and relaxing, calming to look at. You know, there's never any anxiety. You know, it's just easy to look at. And as long as you have some interest, it's fine. So again, the depth, and this time the depth is handled by the light to dark shades. I was going to say something else really intelligent, and the thought escapes me now. But, oh yeah, here I used regular rhinestones on it. Here are the iridescent rhinestone jewels. One of the things that's also important is that you do need places for your eye to rest. So because I had pattern on the cards, on the papers, and even the cardstock was at angle, so it made patterns, I wanted the sentiment, to be in a neutral spot with lots of white space so that your eye has a chance to rest on it. So I just wanted to tell you that. So that's card number 2. And when I was working on cards, here is the one I did originally. And it's, of course, is blue. Like, are we all shocked that I use blues? But again, going from light to medium to dark. So and again, this is on white so that you can relax your eye, you can rest your eye. Right. Let's go into the third card. I just had so much fun with this. So this is Oh, there are all kinds of names for this type of card, this kind of design. I forget now what they all are. But anyway, so we're doing one of them. And what you do is you start with your sentiment. So here it's happy birthday on a little piece of cardstock. For this, it's best if you start this design, if you start with a shape that has straight edges. It doesn't have to be a square. It could be a rectangle. It could be a hexagon. It could be an octagon. You could do whatever you want, but it must have straight edges so that we could put these lines. And this design is, again, monochromatic. It goes from medium to light, so not dark to light, but there's a pop of color. This black is a pop of color, and it just really gives it a pop. So, let's look at how I did that. So this has a little glue on it. I stamped the happy birthday before. I didn't want to mess around with it and then tell you I can't get it on straight. I want to be neat and quick for this. So I'm just going to, now because I don't want to interfere too much with the sentiment, I want it to be visible. I'm stamping off once, stamping off a second time. And there we have our happy birthday. That's pretty easy. And did I do stamping on the inside of this card? I think I did. Oh yeah, I added flowers there. So before I clean it off, let's just stamping there. And this I'm going to stamp off once on the scrap before I put this down. In case I went off the edge, let me show you what happens. If you stamp off the edge and then try and stamp again, there's a line from where the edge is, so I didn't want to have anything like that interfering. And this way, I don't have to think about it. So just a little flower on the inside. Notice my flowers don't even match the flowers on the outside. Just it's so freeform because it's monochromatic, well, no, that's not why, but it is freeform. Don't you find these calming, these cards? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to glue this down kind of in the middle. I guess I didn't glue that as straight as I could have. Okay, so here's the fun. I'm making my word straight, which doesn't make this stuff necessarily straight. Okay, it puts it off at an angle. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this one is absolutely up and down. All right, so now, and I am going to grab one of those silicone mats. I'm doing that because I don't want to get glue all over my paper. So this is glue down. And this has to go to about here. So I'm going to put glue along here. See, and nothing showing here. Notice I tucked it all up. The glue doesn't stay on the silicone mat, it sticks to your cardstock. And I'm going to put this down, butt it against the colored cardstock. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess. Now you don't want to be too sloppy about this, but don't worry about being exact. It's fine if you're a little bit over. You'll find it doesn't interfere with the card design. But if you are worried, and I can't believe I just did that. I did it right on the card. Okay, so we're going to change this up a little bit. This was supposed to be on another piece of cardstock that was smaller. You know what? I'm going to do that. You're going to give me like 30 seconds. So here I am, less than 30 seconds later. Did I ever mention this was done in one take? So this will be 4 by 5 1/4. I'll have to make sure I change those instructions. I'm going to lift this up, and I put a ton of glue on that, so that's really nice. I'm just going to add some more because I want to make sure it sticks, and I'm checking that this actually is smaller. Yeah. So again, I'm making my words straight, but not necessarily the cardstock. And then I'm just going to peel this off. Ah, magic. Okay, let's try this again. So, it's funny, I cut a few extra of those strips in case I made a mess or mistake. So let's try this again. Again, the glue does not stick to the mat. It sticks to the cardstock, which is so nice. And then this is a bit of a problem, went over the edge. All right, so again, we're going to butt this against that colored cardstock, press it down, and cut off the excess. And as I was explaining, you don't want to be too sloppy, but you don't have to worry about being exact. The design will work. All right, so our next one is here. And you notice I'm just doing an estimate of where the end should be. And I'm using my tape runner, my Stamp and Seal Plus, which I love, but this is probably best done with a fine glue tip pen or liquid glue. So, and if some of this sticks out on the outside, don't worry because it'll be used to hold down our colored paper. And there we go. Press it down, turn it over to the back, and cut off the excess. I know this is slow to watch, but it's really not difficult to do. So then we're going to do this third one. But this against the end here, and then along this colored side, this colored piece, cut off the excess. Now you know why I do some stamping and cutting ahead of time. And finally, one more. And it magically goes from here over to the end. And I really want to wrap this up soon. So, whoops, did I just hit the camera? So far we have this part, right? All we have to do is add the pattern paper. So I'm going to start with this one. It's a small one. And what I'm going to do, this fits properly. There's none of the white showing. You know, if I was trying to do this piece here, well, that would work too. But let's say it was this way. You know, this wouldn't work. You need the color to fill up the whole spot, the whole section. So that works. Keeping what I want on top. I'm going to add glue from the center. And a little bit on this side. I'm going to, there's a hair, which we don't need. I'm going to make sure there's no glue sticking out over it. And it was that way that it fit. So putting it in and butting it against the two edges. Many people are very happy to actually just take their scissors and cut that off. I'm really bad with scissors, so I am going to use my paper trimmer and try and get this as close to there's the trough, whatever you would call that the blade sits in. And I just trimmed that off. Okay, so that one's done. Let's see about, I'm going to use this darker one for the biggest section. So again, it matters how you put it in there. You want the right angles to fit in because that just makes it the easiest because it starts that way. So let's just add the glue. Notice I'm off the mat again. I swear this is so relaxing. I love doing this stuff. And the papers are what make it so fun. So, butting it against the two sets of black. Now this one's a little trickier because it goes around 3 sides. So, you want to make sure that you trim it right. So that goes there. And I actually could have trimmed that a little better. Should I try to fix it? You know, every time I do that, I mess it up more. No, I'm going to leave it. And we're going to get this along here. Isn't that cool how it's coming together? And let's do this one. I'm going to be brave, no mat. What's important is that you butt it against the 2 straight edges of the contrasting cardstock. That's the most important part. And everything else happens really well. Now you can see, I keep catching it there. I haven't cut it perfectly, but on this side, it looks just fine. And finally this one. So, and that's a new piece of cardstock, of paper, designer series paper, so it hasn't had any I guess I did that a little crooked. And you know what? It'll be fine to anyone except us. So again, estimate where that trough is. Here you go. Then we have a mess of paper on our desks. Add some jewels. Again, the jewels are not included in your kits. I just think they're fun. And but if you spend over $50, I will throw a pack into your card kit. So I put one large and a couple of small ones in there. That's it. So pop of color. Pop of color really draws your eye into a specific spot. You know, I always find that to me the sentiment is always important. And look how well that turned out. Here are a couple of different ones. Now this is a pop of color of little bits of different color, but same thing. Everything shades of this bluey green. I told you everything was going to be green or blue. You've got some texture, but there we've got some color and some neutral areas so you can relax your eye. Isn't that so relaxing? This one, I just didn't want to add different colors of ink to keep the card class cost down, but excuse me, this is all shades of pinky purple, and then the green is a pop of color. We added texture by doing some sponging here underneath, give some shading. I popped this up on Stampin' Dimensionals, and I use some gems as flower centers. Here, the different, as in most of other cards, it's the different picture on the designer series paper that added the texture. And I could have stamped. I didn't have to use designer series paper, but designer series paper is always an easy way to start. So let's look at what we have here. The ones we made today. So here we did all one shade pretty much. Here we added shades of dark to light, and here we added a pop of color. They're all monochromatic. To me, they're all easy and calming. And once you do one, you can do a dozen of them. And you can swap out your colors. So that's today's card class. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, you have until Friday, February 9th, 2024 to place your order. There's a host code. And if you place your order using the host code, I will send you the card kit. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.